Name of Deputy Colm Keaveney. 4 minutes, Deputy.
In 2010, a number of lecturers within GMIT became concerned about the treatment of allegations and instances of plagiarism and cheating within GMIT. These concerns have been expressed both in local and national press. In 2011, an investigation was launched after a series of revelations in the Galway City Tribune about plagiarism at GMIT, involving discontent among teaching staff about standards. The incident involves a master's student in the School of Business who obtained an instructor's manual which contained model answers to assessment questions and used the material to cheat. The instructor manual was legitimately accessible by academic staff only and is protected by a password, and it is alleged that that password was passed by the lecturer to a student. The student was subsequently found guilty of plagiarism and had some marks deducted, but it did not impact on his final year grade. The student graduated. 3 internal investigations were held, the second of which was found that an internal disciplinary committee had acted incorrectly in treating it as a minor incident. The third inquiry found, I quote, that there is a prima facie case in respect of misconduct that needs to be answered in relation to a lecturer who assisted the student to cheat. The governing body subsequently launched an unprecedented external investigating, hiring outside independent experts. The terms of reference of that inquiry included the establishing of a matter, I quote, the suppressment, concealment and cover-up by staff within the institute. These terms reflected the belief that the allegation of cheating only came to light because of the persistence of a junior, short-term contracted lecturer in the face of opposition from management and staff to continue raising the issue of standards in education within the institute. The junior lecturer did not, I understand, have her short-term contract renewed. All of this has been reported in the local and national press. The inquiry has not obviously it was not expected that it would last as long as it has. It's now, Minister, into its 3rd year. Most of the costs relating to this inquiry relate to legal advice. Minister, I don't know if you are aware, but the cost of that legal advice is somewhere short of €400,000 and is still rising today. Now, these costs are a concern in any inquiry, and it now appears that the inquiry is dragging on over 3 years. The potential legal challenges obviously coming from the parties involved. Minister, the costs have to be seen in the context of the severe cut to the institution being imposed by this and previous governments, while student numbers have increased. In a written response to other Galway deputies, Minister, you had indicated your reluctance to intervene in this matter, in that it's an independent institute. You stated that the events and the allegations are a matter for the institute, for the management, for it as an authority and its academic council. That may very well be the case, but given the protected nature of the inquiry, the rising costs, the Minister obviously would be very cognizant of these concerns like I am. The prudential spending of public monies which have to be provided, scarce public monies that have to be provided to the institute, but most importantly, the potential damage for reputation, academic reputation, that has been imposed on the institution, and it's a vital part of my county and my region's West region's resource as a contributor to the economy and a contributor to the society. Can I conclude by saying, as Minister responsible for education, will you use whatever influence you can to press for immediate closure on this investigation that is near costing €400,000 to date? Will you act and use your influence to ensure that the institution takes whatever action necessary to report back as quickly as possible? The investigation is into 3 years. It's time for closure on this matter. It's time to improve the reputation, the damage that has been caused to GMIT.
Thank you, Deputy Minister.
Thank you, Cathaoirleach. I would like to thank the Deputy for raising this serious matter. Institutes of Technology are autonomous statutory bodies established under the Institutes of Technology Act 2006. An institute's academic council has statutory responsibility to protect, maintain and develop the academic standards of the institute and, subject to the approval of the governing body, for the making of academic regulations of the institute, including those governing the conduct of examinations. Accordingly, the investigation of allegations of plagiarism and cheating is a matter for the Institute's management authorities and its academic council. The Galway Mayo Institute of Technology, GMIT, has a published policy for dealing with alleged or suspected plagiarism. The document, which has been approved by the Institute's academic council and governing body, provides a definition of plagiarism and outlines the Institute's policy and procedures for dealing with alleged or suspected plagiarism. The full document is available on the Institute's website. I understand that the issues involved are complex and that the President of GMIT expects the final report to be submitted to him shortly. And by shortly, I presume within a matter of weeks. That's what shortly means to me, and I'm putting that on the record, Deputy. With regard to funding, the Department of Education and Skills allocates recurrent funding to the HEA for direct disbursement to the HEA institutions, including GMIT. The HEA allocates this grant to its institutions for free fees and core grant funding and other specific earmarked initiatives. The HEA has a recurrent grant allocation model to determine the amount of core funding grant provided to each institution. It is then a matter for the institution to determine how this funding is allocated internally. All higher education institutions are facing very real challenges to both cope with declining state budgets and at the same time rising student populations. Institutions must also reduce staff numbers in line with the employment control framework for the sector. Core staff numbers in higher education institutions were reduced by 9% between December 2008 and December 2011, while during the same period, overall full-time student numbers increased by 12%. Staff numbers have reduced by a further 1.5% at the end of last year's academic year, and further reductions are required this year. It is a matter for each institution to work within a balanced budget and achieve best value for money. There are clear accountability and governance procedures in place within institutions and reporting mechanisms to the HEA, the Minister for Education and Skills, and indeed to the Oireachtas. Under legislation, the President of the institution is the accountable officer and is answerable to the committees of the Oireachtas in relation to the disposal of monies. Legislation also provides that the Controller and Auditor General undertake annual audits of the accounts and financial statements of the institution. This includes a review of the expenditure incurred by the Institute and would include legal fees. All expenditure would be included, as I understand it, Deputy. The CNAG reports to the Public Accounts Committee on these audits regularly, and therefore it is accountable to the Oireachtas as well. Thank you.
You have 2 minutes to reply.
Thank you, Cancorla. First of all, Cancorla, I'd like to acknowledge the fact that the Minister has made himself available today for this query, and I think it's an important issue that you have commented on. See, Minister, we're talking about 20 special needs assistants, 700 medical cards, a number of school extensions, 20 Gardaí cars. €400,000 has been spent on investigating what I can only describe as an unacceptable allegation within GMIT. I welcome the Minister's statement, and I think it's incumbent on me to maybe write immediately to the Public Accounts Committee to invite the Chief Governing Officer to account for how an investigation that has taken over the course of 3 years has amounted somewhere short of €400,000. See, Minister, my background would have been investigations into workplace allegations, grievances and procedures around that. And I'm at a loss to understand why the state has to incur the liability of somewhere short of €400,000 in an investigation where public monies are pretty scarce, as you know, Minister, and your door and the corridor is worn down with deputies begging for resources to protect more vulnerable people in society. And I think that this is a scandalous waste of public resources. It's something that we cannot condone, and it warrants further investigation. And I think it's incumbent that we should immediately write to whatever Oireachtas committee to haul in whatever person from management from GMIT to actually detail how this money was spent. It's a significant amount of money for probably 1 or 2 people to have generated over the course of 3 years. It's near 4 houses. 20 special needs assistants, 600 medical cards. It's a significant amount of money, and it's something
Time
I'm
up, Deputy.
delighted that the Minister is responsible.
Look, I thank the Deputy for his opening comments regarding my presence here, which I appreciate. GMIT has an excellent reputation and plays a key role in supporting the development of the Western region. It facilitates access to third-level education for people from Galway, Mayo and beyond, and plays a key role in the development of business and industry in the region, and indeed is proposing to link up with Sligo and Letterkenny to strengthen that strategic role. Therefore, the Institute's reputation and its future contribution, not to mention its past, is of critical importance. I don't want to comment on the individual details of this case while the process of investigation is ongoing. But I can understand why the Deputy is concerned. I can understand why the Deputy is concerned. And I have deliberately pointed out to him what this House can do in relation to democratically expressing that concern in an appropriate manner and at an appropriate time.